The man with $594,000 in the bank didn't win. Neither did the man who owns the house worth $500,000. And over the next few minutes, you're going to watch both of them lose in a way you might be setting yourself up for right now. 20 years from now, Mark and Alex are sitting on a porch, each one quietly sure he made the smarter move with his money. They're both wrong, and the reason why is the part nobody runs the numbers on. Here's where they land. Alex has the account, $594,000, money he believes he could spend tomorrow. Mark owns a house worth $500,000. But here's the thing nobody tells you. That house's value isn't cash. Most of it is locked in the walls. To touch a single dollar of it, Mark has to sell the place or borrow against it. So, one of them built wealth he can touch. The other built wealth he can only look at. And one of them, on a single sleepless night, thumb hovering over the sell button, made a choice that cost him more than you'd think. Which means that even $594,000 isn't what it looks like. They each counted the numbers that made their choice look smart and ignored the ones that showed up later. By the end of this, you're going to recognize one of these two guys, and it's probably not the one you'd expect. Let's rewind to day one and watch how it actually happened. Mark and Alex are friends. Same age, same city, same $55,000 salary. And on the same week, they each have the exact same $50,000 saved. The only thing about to be different is what they do with it. Mark buys a rental property. Alex puts the whole thing into index funds and quietly keeps adding to it every month, the same way Mark keeps feeding the house. They're a few drinks in when it comes up. Mark goes first. Index funds? You're going to stare at a screen for 20 years and feel proud of a number you can't even touch. I've got a house, a tenant, a key in my pocket. Alex just shrugs. You didn't buy an investment. You bought yourself a second job. You just don't get paid for the hours yet. And underneath the jokes, that's the real bet. Mark is betting that something you can hold, a house, a tenant, a door you can knock on, always beats a number on a screen. Alex is betting the opposite, that the boring, invisible thing quietly wins while you're not even looking. Then Alex says one more thing, lightly. Easy to stay calm when the line only goes up. Nobody at the table notices it. File it away, we'll come back to it. Because for the next few years, one of these two is about to look like an absolute genius. Keep your eye on him, because the genius isn't who you think. Let's start with Mark, because Mark's choice looks incredible. He'll tell you that his rental makes him $470 a month. He says it like it's free money falling out of the sky. But here's what that $470 actually is. It's the rent minus the mortgage payment. That's it. Not taxes, not insurance, not a single repair. Hold on to that, because it matters. So let's take it apart one cost at a time. Property taxes, about $2,000 a year. There goes a chunk. Insurance, call it $1,500 a year. Another piece gone. The water heater dies, around $1,200, gone in an afternoon. A tenant moves out, and the place sits empty a month. No rent, plus the cost to clean it and list it again. And in a rougher year, the roof starts leaking. A few thousand more. Watch what happens to that $470. It shrinks and shrinks. And we haven't even hit the cost that can wipe out an entire year yet. That one's coming. Add it all up. 3 years of taxes and insurance alone is over $10,000 before a single repair. And in a normal 3 years, not a disaster, just normal, Mark didn't pocket the $16,920 his monthly number promised. He kept maybe $2,000 to $4,000 total. That's the first thing Mark forgot to count. The hours, the hassle, and every cost that never makes the barbecue math. And right about now you're thinking, okay, so index funds obviously win. Real estate's a trap. Stop. If you think this is a real estate video, and you've already decided Alex is the smart one, then you've already made Alex's mistake. Because Alex has a hidden bill too. His just doesn't show up in dollars. It shows up in something a lot harder to measure. Here's what Alex tells everyone. I don't even look at it. I just buy and forget. And for a few years, that's true. The market goes up, his account goes up, life is easy. Then, a few years in, the market pulls back. Nothing catastrophic, maybe 15%, the kind of dip the news calls healthy. But Alex looks. He looks more than he admits. He opens the app at red lights. There's one evening he gets as far as pulling up his bank's number before he sets the phone down and tells himself it's fine. And it is fine, this time. The market recovers, and Alex goes right back to, I don't even look at it. But you saw it. Even the calm guy has a crack in him, the same one most of us carry. Remember that line at the bar? Now jump ahead. About 7 years in, a real crash hits. Not a healthy dip, the real thing. By now, Alex has built his account up to around $150,000. Years of quietly investing every month. And in a matter of weeks, the market falls about 34%. He watches 150,000 crater toward just under 100,000. Roughly $50,000 gone while he refreshes the screen. That's not a number anymore. That's the night Alex doesn't sleep. The night he almost sells everything just to make the bleeding stop. And here's the brutal part that spreadsheets never warn you about. Most people in that exact moment do sell. They sell at the bottom to feel safe, then buy back only after it's recovered, locking in the loss at the worst possible time. That's the fear Alex never counted. He budgeted for the market going down. He never budgeted for how it would feel. We'll come back to what he actually did. Hold that thought. And one more thing the finance influencers skip. That 594,000 only exists under two conditions. The market returns about 10% a year, and Alex never flinches. Stick around, because if either one slips, this whole bet flips. Now, before anyone thinks this is turning into a stocks video, it's not. If I only showed you real estate's costs and hid its upside, I'd be every stock influencer on the internet. Mark did something Alex can't easily copy. He put $50,000 down and controlled a $250,000 asset. That's leverage. When the whole house appreciates, Mark earns the full value, not just his 50 grand. Mark also gets real tax advantages. Depreciation can shelter a chunk of that rental income every year. And in the right market, strong rents, a smart house hack, a 1031 exchange down the road, real estate genuinely, legitimately wins. Nobody here is dumb. Mark isn't dumb. Alex isn't dumb. They each just quietly ignored their own weak spot. Here's how dangerous that blind spot gets. A friend at the table, Dave, is bragging about his rental the same way Mark does. My tenant basically pays my mortgage. Then, someone asks how it's really going, and his face changes. He'd had a tenant who stopped paying and knew exactly how to game the eviction. Between the lost rent, the lawyer, and the damage, one bad tenant wiped out more than a year of profit. And it's not just Dave. Mark lived a smaller version himself. A 4-month vacancy plus a surprise $9,000 HVAC hit in year 8 that ate everything he'd cleared that year. Mark just never tells that part at the barbecue. And across the table, Alex is listening. He's sympathetic, but quietly, he's relieved. His money doesn't have broken water heaters. What he doesn't say out loud. His account dropped again last month, and he didn't sleep well that night either. That's the third time you've watched Alex's calm crack. The line at the bar, the night of the crash, and now this. Keep that in your back pocket. So who's actually winning? Let's check the score. Like a race, year by year. Year 3. Mark looks like a genius. Keys, a tenant, a real asset, a story to tell. Alex barely moved. Boring. Easy call, right? Year 10. Wait, they're tied? After everything Mark did, the weekends, the repair calls, the 6-figure debt, the bad tenants, and Alex just sat there doing nothing? How are they even? Year 20. On paper, Alex's account shows about $594,000. Mark has around $400,000 in equity. So Alex wins, clean, right? Except, that's equity locked in the walls. The actual cash Mark pocketed over 20 years, only about $40,000 to $80,000. Most of his win is trapped in a house he'd have to sell to enjoy. So it looks decided. Alex, on paper, pulls ahead. But is it really? Remember, that $594,000 was always a paper number. It's what Alex's account would show if he'd behaved perfectly for 20 straight years. He didn't. Almost nobody does. Go back to that crash about 7 years in. The night his 150,000 cratered toward just under 100. The night he didn't sleep. He flinched. And after everything you've already seen, the line at the bar, the dip he couldn't stop checking, the night he lay awake, you're not surprised, are you? Honestly, most of us wouldn't be either. Most of us would have reached for that button too. Alex sold near the bottom, and then, like almost everyone does, he waited too long to get back in, buying back after the recovery was already underway. So his real account today isn't 594,000, it's about 430,000. One moment of fear cost him roughly $160,000, almost the entire lead the spreadsheet promised, leaving him barely ahead of Mark's 400,000 in what amounts to a dead heat. And this isn't Alex being weak, it's what a real crash does to real people, which is exactly why just hold is so much easier to say than to live. That's the thing Alex forgot to count, his own fear. Mark worked for his money, gave up his weekends, and took a real beating in year 8. Alex waited for his and got scared once, the way almost anyone would have, at the exact wrong moment. Neither one ever ran the full picture, and neither one actually pulled ahead. 20 years later, back on that porch, two men, a little grayer, each finally seeing what his choice actually cost and how close they really ended up. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. The trap was never real estate, and it was never stocks. The trap is picking either one because of a YouTube headline or a guy at a barbecue or something your uncle said at Thanksgiving, without ever running the real numbers for your own life. Mark counted the rent and forgot the hours. Alex counted the returns and forgot the fear. They each fell in love with the version of the math that made them look smart. They each counted the numbers that made their choice look smart and ignored the ones that showed up later. So, I'm not going to tell you which one wins, because the honest answer is either one can if you count everything. Before you bet 20 years on anything, ask 2 questions. First, when this is all over, what do I actually own, and can I touch it? And second, what did this really cost me? Not the monthly number, but all of it, including the parts that don't fit on the sticker. The brochure already knows the answer. It's just hoping you won't ask. Did you count everything?